Dear friends, this interesting discussion which we are having on energy management in industries, sponsored by KK Wag Education Society, which is located in India, a prestigious college located in India. We would be discussing steam generators or boilers and how do you improve the efficiency of the boilers. You would find that the steam generators or boilers, they are widely used in industries. They are used in process industries, like say in sugarcane industry, sugar industry, in rubber industries, in pharma industries, and also it is used in power generation. So you have a lot of applications of steam generators, and in the context of climate change, and also considering the scarcity of fossil fuels which the mankind is experiencing, it is a good idea to know how the efficiency of the boiler is estimated, and then interventions or energy conservation tips so that the fuel savings can happen in the real time. So the outline of the presentation which we would be making is, first we would discuss the methods of estimating the boiler efficiency, both the direct method as well as the indirect method. Then after a detailed discussion on how do you estimate the losses in the boiler and thereby calculate the boiler efficiency by indirect method, we would look into the energy conservation tips for boilers. So this is the agenda of the lecture today. Boilers or steam generators, they can be considered from a thermodynamic perspective as a open system wherein water enters the boiler and steam is generated, the output being the energy contained in the steam and the input being the energy which goes inside the boiler for supply of heat. So we understand that depending upon the category of boiler and depending upon primarily the fuel used, we can easily estimate how much energy goes into the boiler. For example, if it's a coal-fired boiler, we can estimate the energy input. If it's a coal-fired boiler, the energy input can be estimated by measuring the fuel consumption rate, how much coal is being fired inside the boiler, into its gross calorific value. What is this calorific value? Calorific value is nothing but the energy content of the fuel, and its unit in MK system is kilocalories per kg, or if you want, if you are comfortable in SI system, its unit is kilojoules per kg. So in order to determine the boiler efficiency by this, what is known as a direct method, we need to estimate somehow how much fuel is being burned per unit time, and we need to estimate the energy content of that fuel. Now, this energy content of the fuel can be estimated by a calorimeter, either a bomb calorimeter or Junkers gas calorimeter. There are different ways of measuring the calorific value depending upon the type of fuel. But what would be given to you if you are an energy auditor in an industry, and if you want to find the calorific value, you can just get the sample and get its calorific value determination done from the standard lab. There are ASTM methods, American Society for Testing Material methods, for determination of the properties of the fuel, including the calorific value. Fuel consumption rate, depending upon the type of the fuel, if it is a liquid or gaseous fuel, we can easily meter it and measure it by sophisticated meters. But if it is a solid fuel, then we might need to weigh the fuel and measure the fuel consumption rate. The output side of the boiler, as I said, is the steam generated the rate of steam which is being generated, and the energy content of the steam. Now, how much energy has gone into the steam while the water is converted to steam, that can be determined from the enthalpy difference, that is the energy content of the feed water, which is again, if it is a MKS unit, can be measured in kilocalories per kg or calories per gram. And if it is a SI system, you can use the term of kilojoules per kg. Okay, so either way, you can measure the energy content of the feed water and the energy content of the steam formed. So in order to get this energy content of the steam, we need to figure out what is the pressure of the boiler, at what pressure the boiler is generating the steam, and what is the temperature of the feed water. Also, we need to know the quality of the steam. So generally it would be a superheated steam. So we can also note down the temperature of the steam. So knowing the temperature of the steam, knowing the pressure of the steam, one can determine the enthalpy of the steam from the steam tables, and the steam flow rate, as I said, can be measured depending upon the type of the fuel, if it is solid, liquid, or gaseous fuel. This formula or this expression which is in front of you is an easy method of knowing what efficiency the boiler is operating in the field. It is called as the method for determination of spot efficiency. And one gets the idea of whether everything is all right with the boiler, or there are tremendous losses in the boiler by just doing such simple calculations. However, the problem with this method is we are not in a position to figure out if there are losses, where the losses are happening. Okay, so this is the first estimate, and it is a good estimate for simple calculations of boiler efficiency. However, for actually improving the boiler efficiency and saving the fuel in the boilers, we need to do a more detailed kind of analysis, that is by determination of boiler efficiency by what is known as a heat loss method or indirect method. So this schematic which is in front of you helps you understand how the efficiency of the boilers or the steam generators, they are calculated by what is known as the indirect method. So if you see the figure carefully, I have listed the losses as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we would be discussing those losses step by step. The first loss is the loss because, and it is a major loss because of the energy which is carried away by dry flue gases. And by dry flue gases, we understand it is basically the heat loss from the combustion gases. Then there is a heat loss because of hydrogen in the fuel, which is listed as 2. So H2 loss is nothing but the heat loss because of hydrogen in the fuel. Then there is a heat loss because of moisture in the fuel. The fuel might contain moisture, especially if it is a solid fuel. Then the year around where the boiler is placed would have certain moisture, and that might lead to certain losses. There would be incomplete combustion, and if there is incomplete combustion, there would be formation of carbon monoxide, CO, and that is called as the CO loss. If it is a solid, solid fuel boiler, then there would be a fly ash and bottom ash, and they would carry certain energy with it. The surface losses could also be substantial depending upon the quality, the type of the boiler which we are talking about. So all these losses can be computed, and we can add up those losses and find those losses, energy losses, in terms of percentage energy of the fuel, and then that would help us estimate the boiler efficiency by this expression. So this is a detailed kind of efficiency estimation, and it helps us understand where the losses are happening, and we can take appropriate steps to improve the boiler efficiency. This is an expression for determination of heat loss via the dry flue gases. So you see I have written this expression as mass of the flue gases generated, specific heat of the flue gases, into the temperature difference, that is temperature of the flue gases. There would be some temperature at which the flue gases are let out minus the atmospheric temperature or the ambient temperature. So this formula mCp delta T into 100 upon the GCV of the fuel helps us calculate 1 loss or L1 loss, okay, in percentage. For calculating CP, CP has to be estimated, or you can assume the value of CP for the flue gases as around 1.1. The temperature of the flue gases can be estimated by thermocouples. Ambient temperature can also be noted down. What is important is to estimate the mass of flue gases. Now, if you look at the energy balance of on the fuel side for the boiler, you would know that the flue gases are formed because of combustion of the fuel in the ambient air which is being supplied. So the supplied air plus the mass of the actual air supplied would help us calculate the mass of the flue gases generated. And how do you calculate the mass of actual air supplied? For that, we need to just revise certain concepts which you have learned in chemistry, and those concepts are called as stoichiometry. In that, what we would need is, we would need the properties of the fuel, and the properties of the fuel can be estimated by the ASTM standards, especially the ultimate analysis of the fuel, where we would get the elemental composition of the fuel, that is how much carbon is present, how much hydrogen is present, if there is sulfur, how much sulfur is present, and so on. And from that elemental composition, we can estimate how much is the mass of the theoretical air which is being supplied. And once you get the mass of the theoretical air which is being supplied, then what we need to do is that we need to estimate how much is the excess air. Excess means how much extra air over the theoretical air is being supplied. That has to be done by using a flue gas analysis. Okay, and in the flue gas analysis, we use an apparatus called as flue gas analyzer, wherein we estimate the carbon dioxide present or oxygen present in the flue gas, as well as carbon monoxide. So by knowing CO and CO2, or by knowing O2 in the flue gas, there is a formula wherein you can estimate the percentage of excess air. So knowing the percentage of excess air from the flue gas analysis, and by knowing the mass of the theoretical air which is to be supplied for the combustion of fuel, from the ultimate analysis of the fuel, you can estimate what is known as M. Now from this formula, you can make out that if we supply optimum quantity of air, we can improve the boiler efficiency. Okay, so this formula is very crucial in understanding how the boiler efficiency can be improved. Okay, so mass of the actual air which is being supplied plus the mass of the fuel which is being burned gives us the mass of the flue gases. Okay. The second formula is for determination of what is known as L2 loss or H2 loss, hydrogen loss. Now this loss happens because the hydrogen which is present in the fuel, that gets converted to water vapor, and that water vapor which is let out through the flue gases, because the first loss which we calculated was dry flue gases, and now there is some hydrogen in the fuel which would be converted into water vapor, and that water vapor would also carry certain energy. And this formula which is given here, it talks about it, this formula is in MKS unit. So this formula has to be used to calculate the heat loss of hydrogen in the flue gases in MKS unit. Okay, if you want it in SI unit, just you convert the calorie terms into kilojoules terms. Okay, so this 584 is the latent heat of vaporization of water, and this Cp delta T is the sensible heat of the flue gases. Okay, so this heat loss because of dry flue gases, because of hydrogen in the fuel, has to do with the latent heat loss as well as the sensible heat loss. So you need to use this formula wherein you must know the hydrogen in the fuel from the ultimate analysis, and you must know the temperature of the flue gases which you are already measured by using the thermocouple, and the ambient temperature divided by the GCV of the fuel. Okay, so 9H into 584 plus Cp delta T upon GCV would help us calculate the heat loss because of hydrogen in the fuel. So these two losses, that is the dry flue gas losses and the hydrogen losses, you would find that they substantially contribute to the losses in the boiler. The third loss is because of moisture in the fuel, and you know that especially if you are dealing with solid fuel, there would be substantial moisture in the fuel, and that moisture again gets evaporated, and so there has to be a latent heat, because the moisture would get converted to water vapor, and the water vapor would be further heated. So this 584, again, as I said, it is in SI unit, it is kilocalories per kg, and the specific heat of the steam, you can take it as a standard value again, and the temperature of the flue gases, however, you need to measure, and the temperature of the ambient, again, you need to measure. So by knowing the moisture in the fuel, and how do you know the moisture in the fuel? Again, from the analysis of the fuel. So by knowing the moisture in the fuel, and by using this formula, by knowing the temperature of the flue gases and ambient temperature, one can determine the heat loss because of moisture in the fuel. And again, you understand that how important it is to see that the fuel is dry. If you make the fuel dry before burning it, then your boiler efficiency is to increase, because this loss would not be there. Okay, this loss would be reduced substantially. The next part is the humidity in the air. Okay, especially if it is the climate where you would find substantial moisture content in the ambient air, that because you are supplying the ambient air to the boiler and you are not supplying purely oxygen. So along with the dry part, you would also get moisture part entering this boiler. So this moisture would enter in the boiler, and that would contribute to the loss. So this loss, how do you calculate? So again, for that, we need to know the mass of the air which is being supplied, and you must know the specific humidity or humidity factor. This specific humidity or humidity factor can be obtained from the weather data, or you can use the psychrometric chart and the dry bulb temperature and wet bulb temperature readings for estimating this humidity factor. Okay, the unit of this is kg of water per kg of dry air. So knowing the humidity factor, and again by knowing the temperature of the flue gases and that of the ambient air, you can estimate by using this formula, the actually are supplied into humidity factor into Cp delta T upon GCV, this important loss, that is the moisture loss because of moisture in the air which is being supplied to the boiler. The next loss, we call it as CO loss or carbon monoxide loss, and that is because of incomplete combustion. So whatever we try to do, there would be some incomplete combustion. If it is good boiler, a new boiler with a efficient burner, these losses could be less. If the fuel is more pulverized, if it is a solid fuel, if the quality of the fuel is good, then the carbon monoxide losses would also be less. So in order to reduce this loss because of incomplete combustion, we need to concentrate on the quality of the fuel. We need to concentrate on the quality of the burner which is used. We need to optimize the supply of air which is being supplied to the boiler, and that way we can reduce the CO loss. But how do you estimate the CO loss? So for that, we need to know, we need to measure the volume of the CO in the flue gas, okay, and we need to know the actual volume of the CO2 in the flue gas. For that, again, there are flue gas analyzers available, and those commercially available flue gas analyzers would help us estimate the CO and CO2, and the carbon content of the fuel can be estimated from the ultimate analysis of the fuel. And then by using this formula, again in MKS unit, this formula is in MKS unit, you can get the heat loss because of incomplete combustion of fuel, also known as carbon monoxide loss or CO loss. This is the loss number 5. The next loss is because of the heated surface. The boilers, though they are insulated, but still there would be some losses from the surfaces. And those losses can be determined by using very complicated expressions of the heat transfer. But as a thumb rule, these are the typical thumb rules, and we generally, as a practical energy auditor, we would use this thumb rules that if it is an industrial fire tube boiler, then we can take this loss as straight away as about 2%. For industrial water tube, 2 to 3%. If it is a power plant boiler, then this losses would be less because the capacity of the boiler is more. So it is 0.4 to 1% that way. Okay. So these are the surface heat losses, the surface loss number 6. Okay. And then finally, there are losses because of fly ash and bottom ash. This is applicable to the solid fuel boilers. Say that you are burning some coal, and after burning the coal, in the furnaces, there will be some bottom ash left. And along with the flue gases, there would be some ash which is going to escape. That is known as a fly ash. So this fly ash and the bottom ash has certain energy content in it. So we can take the sample of the bottom ash and fly ash and go to the lab and determine its calorific value. And we can also quantify how much ash is being generated per hour or whatever. Okay. And then that would help us estimate the unburned losses in the fly ash and unburned losses in the bottom ash. So this way you can estimate all these losses L1 to L8, and then that percentage losses, if you subtract it from 100%, that would give us the boiler efficiency by indirect method. Now once you get this a detailed estimation or sort of energy balance or heat balance of a boiler, we can now think of how do you save energy in the boiler. And these are the tips, important tips based on the estimated values. So what is to be understood is that if you get that the losses are more and the losses are because of incomplete combustion, then we need to concentrate on the quality of the fuel. Okay, we need to see that best quality fuel is being supplied so that the efficiency is maximum. If you figure out that the surface losses are more, then we need to concentrate more on the boiler insulation. Okay, if there is a significant loss in the dry flue gas and this hydrogen loss, then we need to do the draft control and excess air control. Meaning what? We need to make sure that we supply optimum quantity of air so that the air is not much in excess and it is also not less. If it is less, that would lead to incomplete combustion loss, CO loss. And if it is much more, then it would lead to higher dry flue gas losses. Okay, so not much and not less. Okay, so an optimum quantity of air has to be supplied, and this can be done by draft control and excess air control. So these two things, that is draft control and excess air control, they are significant in ensuring that these losses are minimized. Okay, then in order to ensure that the heat exchange is good, we need to do a periodic cleaning of boilers. Soot has to be blown. And also because there would be losses which we actually are not considered, which are blowdown losses, but these blowdown losses are also significant, though we do not consider them in the efficiency calculations. This blowdown quantity would be less if you control the quality of the water. Okay, what is blowdown? We actually blow down certain amount of mass of working fluid from the boiler in order to maintain the quality of the water inside the boiler. Okay, and so that there are no scaling also. So for that, proper water treatment and proper blowdown control are essential steps. So these are the important steps. Along with this, we need to ensure that the boiler is operated at a correct loading, because if you are operating the boiler at partial loading, all these losses would significantly increase. Okay, so ensure that the boiler is operated at correct loading, not very partial loading, and also see to it that you are not generating the steam at we need to match basically the pressure of the user. For example, if a process industry requires 10 bar steam, and if you are generating 50 bar steam and then you expand it, it is a loss. Okay, so we need to match the boiler's pressure, rated pressure, with the process steam pressure. Okay, if there are too many pressure expansion required, then it's better to use a number of boilers whose pressures are appropriate. Okay, so these are the tips to save energy in the boiler. I hope that this concept of how do you save the energy in the steam generators, in the boilers, in the process industries, as well as in the thermal power plant, is now very clear to you. And we would continue with this discussion of energy management in industries by dealing with other utilities like compressors, HVAC systems, and so on. And it would be really a fun enjoying such kind of lectures. Thank you very much. Bye for now.